Welcome, everyone, to the Tons of Productions podcast on this Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Today, I chat with Tom Green. He was on a world tour with his stand-up comedy, and he was coming here to Vancouver. So I purchased a ticket to go see him perform, and had seen stuff online and laughed my head off. I was like, oh, this is so great. Now he's getting into stand-up comedy. It's cool. So here you go. Here's the interview, and then I'll tell you how it all came about and what happened when I was in the theater after. All right, so here you go. Here is Tom Green, everybody. You are listening to the Tons of Productions podcast. It's really good to meet you, Tom.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
So anyway, I just wanted to say before I ask you a couple questions, that I am not only a big fan, but you influenced me and my friends in the mid 90s-ish.
Okay, yeah.
I was in a punk rock band as a singer, and we were musicians, and we were. And
what was the band called?
We were called Ultramag was the name of the band.
Rad. Yeah, amazing. And now you're doing a podcast, all independent media, right? That's the way to go.
You have so much on in your history of what you've done, and I can't touch on all of it, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm going to touch on the stand-up comedy. You've been doing stand-up comedy since you started?
I started doing stand-up when I was a teenager in Ottawa at Yuck Yucks, and I did it for several years during high school and just after high school, and then I stopped doing stand-up and started the Tom Green Show. But about 10 years ago, I really got back into it, and I've been touring nonstop. So it's kind of like was my sort of early start to show business, and now, here I am like in my 40s, and I'm like really enjoying touring as a stand-up now. Yeah, I'm loving it.
That's sweet. Yeah, because that's the ultimate independent thing when you do it by yourself. I love it, and you go all over the world. And I also wanted to touch on your album. You released an album called The Tom Green Show.
Yeah, that's it, playing in the background right now. I play my new album when the audience comes in. We're sitting back here backstage right now at the Rio Theater in Vancouver, and it's the first time I've performed here. It looks like it's a really nice theater. It's going to be super fun. We got a sold out show. We're playing my album for people. I'm excited. I love Vancouver.
Well, I loved the video you did, and you did that when you were on tour doing stand-up in Asia?
Yeah, we made videos over there during my tour, just to kind of kill time during the day. We'd go shoot a music video on the street, every day pretty much. We ended up shooting 3 videos while I was on my Asian tour, and it was super fun. My friend Tony came with me, who worked on my internet show, and now he's a big music video director, and we thought, hey, why don't we bang out some music videos in Asia? So we did a video for, if you can go on my YouTube channel, you can see a video for my song, Live With Dignity. It's a rock and roll song. You like rock and roll music, right?
I love it. I've seen that video, actually.
Far Too Young to Die, also another rock and roll song in a similar vein. And then more of a hip-hop oriented song called I Wanna Be Friends with Drake. Yeah.
I love those videos. They're great. I check out your channel all the time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun making them. And, that's kind of what I like. I'm kind of making music right now really just for fun, I put out a vinyl record this year, I just, when I'm not touring, I've got my recording studio at my house, and I just like making beats and putting these songs together. And sometimes when there's no pressure on anything, and it just makes it a lot more fun for me to kind of just put music out and make these videos, and I'm not really worried about whether or not people like it or not, and which makes it kind of more fun because there's no pressure. I like the challenge of technically recording it too. I recorded all the music in my house, so it's kind of like I'm a bit of a tech gear kind of geek. So I like that, I like your recording device that you have here. It's very, very impressive. I want to write down the model number and maybe get one of those for myself.
So my final real question, I guess, would be to help out a buddy of mine who lives in Ottawa.
Okay, yeah.
He has an 11-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and she's been listening to my podcast, and she really wants to get into show business and film, and she doesn't know where to start. So do you have any advice for anybody in where they could go or what they could do when they're young and they want to get into show business?
Well, there's a lot of, I guess, ways you can approach it. I would recommend, if somebody was starting from scratch, that they should probably surround themselves with other people who have similar goals, because you'll learn a lot from other people. I started going to Yuck Yucks when I was 16 years old doing stand-up, and I was surrounded by other comedians. There was, Howard Wagman was there, and Mark Breslin were there at the time. They encouraged me. I got actual feedback from people. So that was helpful. But if you want to be in acting, maybe get involved in a theater group. Get involved in, if you want to be in television or you want to make television, maybe get involved in a broadcasting or, course of some sort. I studied broadcasting in school, so television broadcasting, which led directly to what I ended up doing, which was making my own TV show. I would say that sort of might sound kind of like traditional, but I would say doing that gives you a nice foundation of sort of what you really need to know, and then it's how you sort of apply yourself in that world. Like you have to be harder working than anybody else. This is sort of the dream job, right? Like working as an actor or as a comedian or as a musician. It's the dream. Everybody would do it if they could, right? And, the reason everybody doesn't do it is because it's hard. And so if you work at it harder than everybody else, and you maybe get some formal training as well, that will put you at an advantage. And then the final thing I would say is to actually not the final thing, but don't quit. Keep doing it. Don't quit ever. And if you'll get better and better at whatever it is you're trying to do. I always say to people that love, say comedy, or if you love music, or if you love acting, figure out who you love and what you would like to sort of aspire to be. Pick your favorite actor or your favorite comedian, and then go read every biography ever written about them, and sort of really understand what exactly did they have to go through to get where they got to where they got to. And so if you read that, if you actually do read that, don't just put it off and not do it. Actually go buy the book, and then buy several books, and then buy dozens and dozens and dozens of books about people that are doing things similar to what you've done. I've read every book about Johnny Carson. I've read every book about Jack Parr, by Jack Parr, about Jack Parr. I've read every book about Steve Allen and by Steve Allen. These are talk show hosts. I wanted to be in television, so
is that the reason for the format of the Tom Green Show?
The reason for the format of the Tom Green Show is because I loved the David Letterman show. Right? I loved the David Letterman show. Yeah, I wanted to do a show like that. And so, in preparing for that over the years, I would read everything I could about anybody that was doing anything even remotely like a talk show, right? I read the Howard Stern book. I read every book you got. Now, when I'm doing stand-up, I tell people that want to do stand-up, they should go get Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up. It's one of the best books about stand-up, and you get a lot of information that you otherwise might take, 10 years to figure out on your own, and you probably would never even figure out everything that Steve Martin knows, right?
Right.
So wouldn't you be better off to just go read that on a long weekend and have all that information in your head? So, do that. Be passionate. Don't quit. Love what you do. And try not to get too down on yourself when things don't happen overnight, because they don't. If you don't have persistence and patience, it's not going to work out. I didn't make a dime in show business for the first 12 years of trying every day.
Wow.
I started doing stand-up when I was 16 years old. My show got picked up by MTV when I was 28. So,
That's a long time.
Yeah, I had done things along the way. I did my rap group, Organized Rhyme. We didn't make any money, but we were on TV and all that.
Oh, you're
stuff.
popular. I knew who you were.
Yeah, Canadian show business, though. We didn't make a dime off of that, so it was still living in my parents' basement. So it was tough, and it was, but I wanted to quit, but then I had no other idea of what I would possibly do. So, that's also helpful if you have nothing else that you can imagine yourself ever doing. It makes it easier to not quit. If you have a plan B, you're probably going to quit and go do that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
maybe try not to have any options as well.
Like you have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time
Thank you.
talking to me. It's so great, and like I said before, I'm a huge fan, and I really enjoyed their time together.
Oh, thanks. Good luck with the podcast. I appreciate it, and thanks for coming to the show. Thanks everybody for listening, and follow me on Instagram at Tom Green, and I'm on Twitter at Tom Green Live. And I'm on Facebook as well. So.
Okay, and what dates do you have? Do you have other Canadian dates coming up in this tour?
Yeah, I'm always touring, so I'm always pretty much hitting every city every year. If you go to my website, tomgreen.com, you can see what's coming up. I have shows in Winnipeg coming up. I'm going to Edmonton tomorrow. Probably by the time this airs, I'll have been come and gone from Edmonton already. But I always post my dates on my website, so I'll be hitting most cities pretty much every year. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.
Take care. That was so fantastic. I wish it was longer, but what can you do? I mean, he's a busy guy, and he was about to go on stage, and that was the other thing. I was so nervous when I talked to him, and usually I'm not that nervous. I'm prepared. But when I got there at the Rio Theater, they whisked me backstage to talk to him right away. And it kind of threw me off. And I was like, and I, got everything ready, and I got through the questions that I wanted to ask him. But I wish I was way more relaxed. Oh my God, he was so kind and so gracious, and it was amazing to have the opportunity to talk to someone who is really successful. When I first learned about Tom Green, it was back in the 90s, and he, was like a lot of people that I knew, skaters and people in bands, and just the creative, artistic type of person that actually made it and got picked up. He went, picked up by MTV, was on SNL, and, basically embraced by Hollywood and became a celebrity through his own efforts. And, we all gave him a tip of the hat. And, even though we didn't know him, we felt like one of our own actually made it. And not to mention that he is known by everybody that I know. I mean, even my mom. I can say, I don't know, Tom Brady or some other famous person, and she has no idea who that is, but Tom Green, she does. She's in her late 60s. When I mentioned that I was going to talk to him, she asked me if I would ask him to talk to his parents and say hello for her, which is hilarious. I mean, they don't know her. My mom was great. But anyway, Tom is one of those people I wanted to interview because he's just like all of the other independent people that I interview that do film, in the way that he has that dynamic personality, that non-stop, no-quit, work, attitude about life and energy. And, is always telling you stuff that he's done and stuff that he's completed, not what he's going to do. And I think a lot of people get confused with that. They really talk about what they want to do, and hey, their intentions are great and stuff, but I learned through doing my own different endeavors as far as stand-up or independent film or podcast or my books, writing and stuff. All of those things are more satisfying when you say, hey, I finished it, and here is the actual thing I wrote. And you really, really feel a sense of satisfaction that I can't even explain. And he's had so many things that were successful that I bet you the amount of gratitude and the amount of happiness that he has inside of him is just immense. And that's why probably he's so kind and so caring and giving to his fans and not arrogant, It's so refreshing, and I feel like he had that sensibility about him that, live and let live, and, just have a good time with the person you're with. I extracted a really good, juicy nugget of information and what he thought about how someone could make it in the show business that wanted to start from scratch. And that information is, priceless, really. You have to go 100% towards that and never waver from it. Always have your passion towards being successful in that manner. And you will get better and better and better over time. I mean, there's a lot of comedians out there that did stand up for 20 years before they were famous. It takes time and patience, and you have to be able to accept not making it. And taking those failures is not as failures, really, as learning lessons. And that will project people forward. And this is all stuff that I learned from him and other people that I've interviewed over time. I mean, Tom, if you're listening, thank you again. I really, really appreciate it, and so do my listeners. All right. Okay, everybody. That's it. I will talk to you next Monday, and I hope you have a great week and weekend. All right. Take care, everybody.